Thing about going 50-50 with a man is he also is going to take at least 50% of your time and your energy.
Cishet marriages are on the decline.
Do you potentially want to adopt me? And I mean this genuinely. Okay, we're in a cost of living crisis. I'm struggling to move out.
So 50% of marriages fail, but of the 50% that succeed, how many do you think are actually happy?
The rates of marriages will only decrease further. Marriage isn't what it used to be.
Men are not intimidated by how much money you make. Men are not intimidated by how many degrees you carry.
70% are women that are initiating divorces in this country.
I still stand by the fact that my husband is the ugliest man that I have ever met 5 years into our marriage. Ugliest man that I...
This is what you call marrying the last option and bashing him online for attention. Kindly subscribe to the channel as it further supports us in our work. Thank you.
So basically, these married women decided to go on a girls' trip, but they wanted to make sure they weren't pregnant afterwards, so they took a pregnancy test before going back to their husband.
So this might be kind of a controversial opinion when it comes to dating, but why is it that in so many cases, the more effort that a woman puts into a relationship with a man, it seems like he appreciates her less? I don't know if I'm the only one that's encountered that, but I feel like so many other women have, and I'm just curious what you guys think, if you've experienced this as well, and why you think this is happening.
This is a pretty crazy fact. I asked ChatGPT why women file divorce at such a higher rate than men, and it said unmet emotional needs, unequal household and emotional labor, more financial independence, and women tend to have higher expectations in a relationship.
Because it makes them wealthy, stealing the man's assets, nothing more. Now imagine if alimony and child support were eliminated. Do you think this number would increase or decrease? A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family. A woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness because they benefit financially. Period. Well, this is quite questionable, considering that divorce rates for male-to-male couples sit at 26%. Male to female at 52%, and female to female at a staggering 72%. I mean, with these numbers, it's quite clear that men aren't to the problem when it comes to long-term commitment. In fact, the data flips the common narrative. If men were truly the toxic or unreliable ones, you'd expect male-to-male relationships to be the most unstable. But they're actually the most stable. Meanwhile, relationships involving women, especially female-to-female ones, show the highest rates of dissolution. That points to emotional volatility, conflict escalation, and unrealistic expectations playing a bigger role than people want to admit. Maybe it's time we stop blaming men by default and start acknowledging that modern relationship dynamics, fueled by entitlement, lack of accountability, and poor conflict resolution skills, especially among women, could be the real culprits.
Why are men so angry when women choose to stop dating? I don't think men are angry at all. I mean, they've chose to stop dating themselves. Men often don't pursue things that aren't worth their time. And in a lot of cases, relationships don't offer them very much anymore. They realize that just pursuing their hobbies and working towards their long-term goals just makes more sense overall. And they can have a happier life that way.
I agree.
No one talks about divorcing a good guy. I've been divorced twice, both of which were my decision, and neither one of them were abusing me or cheating on me. That doesn't mean there wasn't a pile of other reasons as to why we couldn't maintain a healthy relationship. People get divorced for all kinds of reasons. Maybe you don't agree on how to parent your kids. Maybe you suck at communicating and argue all the time. Maybe you don't agree on money and you have financial issues. Maybe there's no intimacy and you feel like you're living with a roommate. Those are all valid reasons to not want to stay in a relationship.
The thing about going 50-50 with a man is he also is going to take at least 50% of your time and your energy. Men benefit so much from having a woman in their lives, they act like they don't because it benefits them to get you to accept less. If men don't need women in their lives, then why do they need secretaries and stuff? You know, like even if they can't have a woman by their side, they need a woman. Think about how far you go if you weren't parenting your boyfriend, your husband, if you weren't trying to do everything for him. Like some women go as far as to book all of his appointments for him. If you are his secretary and his nanny and his maid and his mommy all in one, going 50-50 for you is a loss and a total gain for him. If you're having his children, you're literally putting your life at risk, not even just physically, but mentally as well. I don't see any world where a man would accept that his life is in danger around women and his life is in danger having children. And then he would still say, you know what? I'm also going to split 50-50, even though you're going to benefit from being in a relationship with me more than I'm going to benefit being in a relationship with you. So it's not about the money. It's about everything. It's about your life. If you want to spend your life struggling with a man, then that's your prerogative.
Going 50-50 with a man means he's taking 50% of your energy. That's the logic? That doesn't even make sense. Because when you expect a man to pay the rent, cover all the bills, fund your vacations, and even pay for your hair and nails, he's not your partner. He's your daddy at that point, and the hypocrisy is wild. If a woman doing something simple, like booking a man's appointment or helping with small things, makes her a maid, then by that same logic, a man providing for everything must make him her personal ATM, her servant, or even worse, a financial caretaker she feels entitled to. You can't have it both ways. If basic acts of care are seen as servitude when women do them, then men should start calling out the one-sided expectations placed on them too. Modern equality often turns into expecting traditional benefits without giving anything traditional back.
So give a woman a choice. Date a 20-year-old male virgin or a 40-year-old successful male lawyer who's vetted 100+ women. The lawyer wins every time.
For sure.
Give a man that exact choice with females in those exact positions.
The lawyer will lose.
Nobody cares that the 40-year-old is a successful lawyer.
Right.
So.
Okay, I've had a lot of men recently asking me, why don't women just ask men out instead of like doing little researches on them and doing little FBI things and doing little running arounds and little finding out of little morsels of information. And the answer is because when you ask a man out, it feels like you're holding out a tin cup and going, please sir, how much for the poor? Please sir, please can I have some more? Like you feel like Oliver freaking Twist, my guy. Not a position most women want to be in. So we would rather make you think it's your idea, because that's what's happening most of the time. Most of the time, that's what's happening. Women make the first move by allowing you to be in a position to make the first move. That's all. I hope that's helpful, because that's the actual answer. And like I actually have asked guys out before. I have. But it has felt like, it feels like begging. And I just don't like that.
But that's exactly how some men feel. If women feel like they're begging just by asking a man out, how do they think men feel? Especially since he's the one expected to pursue, initiate, plan, pay, and put in all the effort, only to get ignored or rejected. Maybe what she hasn't realized is that what she's describing is exactly how men have felt for decades. The difference? Men were taught to just suck it up. No one cared if it hurt their confidence. No one asked how exhausting it was to always chase, to always be the one trying while getting nowhere. Now, the moment women are expected to do even a fraction of that effort, suddenly it's too much. It feels like begging. No, it feels like accountability. And it's uncomfortable because they're not used to it. Let's be real. Women want equality until it's time to be equally vulnerable, equally rejected, and equally responsible for building the connection. And that's when the double standards really show.
The dating scene in Charleston is tough. I absolutely agree with you there. And honestly, if you are a female who dates men, it is tough because there's a lot more girls here than guys. And in my opinion, I think that guys kind of play up on that a little bit. Like they have a lot of options. So that just makes it tough. And also like another stereotype that's just, kind of my opinion is that like guys definitely, kind of go into the Peter Pan syndrome thing, where they just don't really want to grow up. And so that makes it hard too. Now, my unsolicited advice is don't only rely on dating apps around here, or really in general, even if you're not from here and you're just listening to this. I deleted my dating apps over the summer. I haven't looked back. They are not for me. I don't like them. That's just not my vibe. And all I will say is you can and you will meet people in the wild. There are plenty of options to do so. And you have to weed through the fools, but there are some gems out there.
Be careful about dating divorced men. No woman is divorcing a good man.
Except for when they do.
Now, I know I'm not the only one who has seen any number of those videos out there of some women encouraging other women to divorce their husbands. And they even mention in the videos that the man could be a perfectly good man, but if that woman isn't currently happy in that relationship, get a divorce. It's the easy way instead of actually trying to work on a relationship. Because a lot of us know relationships take work, and some people just aren't cut out for it.
Especially when they have kids together. Yes, a lot of people grow apart and it's mutual.
And instead of working on and maintaining that relationship and improving it, it's easier just to get a divorce.
The majority of the time, she's divorced him for a reason.
And many times that reason can be perfectly valid. And then there's those instances where someone just doesn't want to put in the work.
Whatever he's done to her, he's going to do to you.
Interesting how they try to make it sound like it's always the man's fault, when it takes two. It takes two to make a relationship work, and it takes two to make a relationship fail.
No woman is divorcing a good man, huh? Well, that's obviously a lie. We've seen countless stories where women openly admit, he was a good guy, he checked all the boxes, he loved me, he provided, he took care of me and our family, but I just didn't feel it anymore. So what does that tell you? That being a good man isn't enough anymore. It's not about loyalty, provision, or protection. It's about chasing feelings, fleeting emotions, and some idealized fantasy of, what if there's better out there? And what happens when they leave? They find out the grass wasn't greener, it was fake turf. Many end up miserable, full of regret, some even lowering their standards just to feel wanted again. And yes, some end up sleeping with married men just to feel something, to prove they're still desirable. They throw away a good man, a stable home, and long-term security for a temporary high, and when it crashes, they play the victim.
The best dust repellent is looking like they can't afford you. That's another thing. You have to look like they cannot afford you, or you can't, or you don't want to afford them. It means if you don't look like you want a broke bum, if you're not ratchet looking like you house a Dusty just because he's cute, if you look like the type of woman that don't go for men just because they look good and have the right words and tell you something that you already should know about yourself, that means you have to dress like the goddess that you are. Where do you want to see yourself when you're my age? That's the type of man you need to date. That doesn't mean dating that doesn't mean dating somebody that, is never going to make it out of the hood. That does not mean dating someone who does not have ambition and money already to get you where you're trying to go. That don't mean none of that. It doesn't mean somebody who is barely making it now, scratching the surface to even survive for himself. That doesn't mean any of that. I mean, date the type of man who's going to give you the lifestyle you want at 40.
I am woman, I am fearless, I am sexy, I'm divine, I'm a beautiful and creative, honey, you can get it on. Every woman, it's all in me.
Listen, I know I'm nobody to judge, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's on the internet. Why? Why, girl? It's giving pick me, but you already got picked, so it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird that you would want to flash your husband's friends and maybe possibly brothers. Like, I wouldn't do that. And I get that people are like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, you wear swimsuits in front of men all the time. Yeah, but I'm not, like, purposely going up to them and flashing, like, taking my, like, cover off just so they can see on my wedding day. It's a little bit strange. It's just a little bit strange. But you know what? To each their own. To each their own, girl. People are also defending that she did it with her bridesmaids as well, not just the groomsmen, but with the bridesmaids, she had like a bouquet of flowers, and it actually looks kind of weird because it looks like she's jumping over them. Anyway, it's just strange, okay? Like, I get everyone can do whatever they want, but it's a little bit strange. And if you put anything on the internet, like, just get ready to be judged, you know?
This is grounds for divorce, effective immediately. A bride lifting up her skirt and flashing her husband's friends right in front of him? That's not just disrespect, that's straight up humiliation. The thing about this kind of behavior is, it shows that the streets are still in her. She may be wearing the wedding dress, but she's not truly committed. Mentally, emotionally, she's not ready to settle down. That wasn't a mistake or a funny moment. That was a clear display of attention-seeking, boundary-breaking, and zero respect for the man she just vowed to honor. Marriage is supposed to be a sacred union. If she can't carry herself with class and loyalty on the wedding day, of all days, what does that say about what's coming later? That's not a wife, that's a liability. This is exactly why so many men are cautious about marriage now. Because too often, the title changes, but the mindset doesn't.
I have been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do. Right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier, because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up, and I went to put something in the trash and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me, because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone.
Had to cut this clip short because the rambling was long, but in this entire clip right here, not once did she take any fault. Not an ounce of accountability. It was just blame after blame, all directed at her husband, pointing out his faults but not her own, like he was the root of every single problem in the marriage. No reflection. No. Maybe I could have handled things differently. No ownership of her attitude, behavior, or choices. Just a full-on victim narrative. And that's the problem. You can't fix what you won't take responsibility for. If you always paint yourself as the victim, you'll never grow. You'll just repeat the same toxic patterns with the next man, and the next, and the next. It's always his fault, never hers. This kind of mindset is exactly why so many relationships fail, because instead of working on themselves, some people are too busy pointing fingers and rewriting history to protect their ego. Sometimes the issue isn't the man, it's the lack of self-awareness sitting across from him,